Hi, it's Tanya from My Forking Life, and today we're in the kitchen and we're making your favorite barbecue baked beans. Yes, y'all, delicious baked beans, totally from scratch. Now, if you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Also, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I upload a new video. Also, don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like this kind of content. All right, so I'm gonna bake these beans, but the first thing I'm gonna do is prepare them. And I've got here some dry baked beans that I have already rinsed and picked over to make sure there are no rocks in those beans because that can happen. I found a rock yesterday. What? All right, and I'm going to cook those beans in my pressure cooker. Now, traditionally with dry beans, you can soak them overnight and then cook them on the stovetop. You could do a quick soak. I like to just put them in the pressure cooker and cook them, and then I've got really soft, nice, delicious beans that will be ready to be baked. So I'm gonna put these in my inserts, just drop them in there, and these are navy beans, and this is about half of a pound of navy beans, which is about a cup and 1/3 of dry beans. All right, and then I'm also going to add some water. I've got here about 3 cups of just regular H2O. And I've got some delicious barbecue seasoning. I've got the recipe for that on my website. I use it in like everything barbecue. So good, and it's good to just have it on hand. I'm going to add about 1.5 tablespoons to these dry beans. Rumor is that if you add any salt to your beans before you cook them, that they'll never soften. That's not true. They'll soften, and I'll show you how that happens today. All right, so I went ahead and seasoned these beans so that when I open them, they'll be nice and flavorful. I'm gonna go ahead and cover that. Make sure that's the sealing. And I'm gonna cook these in my pressure cooker on 45 minutes of high pressure. And then after that, I'm gonna let it naturally release for about 20 minutes. And then I'll come back and show you what these beans are looking like so far. 45, go ahead and get it started. All right, so I'm back, and what has happened is I cooked those beans on 45 minutes of high pressure, and I've let it naturally release for about 25 minutes. I'm gonna move this to see if there's any more steam in there. There's not, so I can go ahead and open it. Boom. And those are my beans. Oh, they smell really like barbecue-y already. All right, so my beans are done. They have cooked in that wonderful barbecue seasoning. And as you can see, they are done and tender enough that I can break them in my finger and eat them. So I'm gonna drain these beans, and I'm gonna use the beans and add them to my baked beans, but I'm also going to use some of that liquid to season the beans. Boom, 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 boom. Yum. And just look at that liquid water. That's full of that delicious barbecue seasoning. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and continue on with our beans. And I'm gonna go ahead and chop some veggies now. So I've got here 1 yellow onion and 1 green pepper. I am going to chop these finely because I like beans that have some veggies in them. Just giving them a real nice rough chop. Oops. Now I'm gonna chop my pepper. Now, one thing I should have done before I started even cutting these veggies, Tanya, was to preheat the oven. Gonna go ahead and do that now. 300. Preheat your oven to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. So that way it will be ready to bake whenever you're done prepping these vegetables and the meat that's gonna go in your beans. All right, so I've got all my vegetables chopped and I'm ready to start cooking. All right, so I have got a Dutch oven. This is about a 6-quart Dutch oven that I'm going to set over medium-high heat. So I've gone ahead and heated a pan over medium-high heat. I'm gonna add just a little bit of oil to that pan. And then I'm going to add about half of a pound of ground turkey meat. You could add any type of meat you want. If you want to add meat, you also don't have to add meat. I just like baked beans that have the texture of ground meat throughout. And I just like using ground turkey. And I'm going to just let this turkey crisp up a little bit before I add those veggies. And then I'm going to go ahead and add these veggies right along with them while that meat continues to cook. And I'm going to cook this until that ground meat is fully cooked and those vegetables have softened. All right, so our meat is done browning. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. And I'm going to add the ingredients that I need to make these baked beans right in there. So I am going to add about a half a cup of brown sugar. Going to add about a quarter of a cup of molasses. Yum. Gonna add a little bit of mustard, about a tablespoon. And I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. And then I'm gonna add my beans and some of that bean water. Actually, I'm gonna probably add just all of this bean water because that is about a cup of bean water, and I want enough water so that it covers the beans, and I may end up adding just a little bit more. So I'm gonna go ahead and just mix all that together. It smells good already. I'm also gonna add a little bit of salt to these beans. Just a little bit of extra salt, about half of a teaspoon. Now what I'm gonna do for these beans is I'm going to cover them and I'm gonna cook them in that oven on 300 degrees for about an hour. Then I'm gonna come back and show you what they should look like at that point. And then my intention is to crank up that heat, crank up that heat and cook them for a little bit longer. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and cover these and put them in the oven. All right, y'all, my beans have been in the oven for about an hour. I'm gonna go ahead and pull them. It is nice, hot. Oh, that oven is hot. Wow, ooh, all that smoke. You see, they're nice and watery still. And I'm going to go ahead and raise my temp now to 350. Boom. All right, so now that I've increased my oven temp to 350, I'm going to bake this uncovered for about 20 to 30 minutes. All right, my 20-minute timer has gone off. Checking on those beans, and I think that liquid has reduced to as much as I want it to. So I'm not even going to let this go the full 30 minutes. But if you want your beans just a little less soupy, you know, just keep them in there a little bit longer. So I'm going to go ahead and pull them out. And those are my nice and pretty beans. Beans, beans, beans. And I'm going to let these cool a bit before I dig into them because you don't want to just taste like really, really hot beans. But I will say is that over time, what's going to happen is these beans are going to absorb more and more of this liquid. But I like my beans to be soupy, and they're still going to absorb the liquid, but I don't want them to dry out. If your beans start to dry out, just add more liquid to it and they'll be fine. All right, so I am ready to serve my beans. They've cooled down just a little bit. I had to grab a big spoonful. Pour them right in this plate. Yes. These are still super hot, but I'm going to go ahead and dig in. Just grab just a little bit of a spoonful. As you can see, there's meat all through and through these beans. That's just how I like them. delicious baked beans made from scratch. All right, guys, that's all for this video. Until the next time,